All right.
Okay, we are here with Leighton Cusack from PoolTogether and Fabio Monzani, the community manager, the Italian community manager for PoolTogether. And we are going to understand better how PoolTogether works, about the story about it, and the next stuff that we are going to see on that platform. So, Leighton, first of all, how did the idea born?
Yeah, so the idea was born in a process of research. So I was basically doing research on the history of a lot of the financial products we have, like the stock market, the bond market. As Italians, you guys know many of these things were invented by the Venetians in the, I think it was like the 16th century. So I was doing a lot of research on that type of stuff, the kind of trade families. And in the course of that research, I came across the idea for prize savings accounts. And I thought that this is a really good idea. And it's an idea that would work way better built on a blockchain. And so that's kind of where the idea came about. But the mission for PoolTogether, like the reason we exist, is to help people achieve financial health. And we think prize savings is a really good method of achieving that mission.
Great, great. And can you explain a little bit how the platform works? I mean, what's the user journey across your platform?
Yeah, so the user journey right now is you go to PoolTogether.com and you can buy tickets to the pool with DAI. So one DAI gets you one ticket. And when you get tickets, you can withdraw your tickets at any time to get your DAI back. And you don't earn any interest on your DAI. But what you do get is while your DAI is in the pool, while you have tickets, you're eligible to win a prize. So right now there's a weekly prize for the DAI pool. And that weekly prize is like 1,500 DAI. And so each week you have a chance to win 1,500 DAI just by having your DAI in the pool. And you can take it out at any time. So that's why it's like prize savings, no loss lottery. It's a way that you have a chance to win a prize, but you don't have any potential for loss.
Okay. Can you play just using DAI or also using any other stable coin?
Right now it's DAI, and then we also have another pool with USDC. The DAI pool is the biggest one, and we kind of prefer DAI because it's more decentralized, but we have both those right now. And we ultimately want to support all stablecoins.
Great, great. And what about the growth? So I think that you started. I mean, you were on mainnet the at the end of the last year.
Yeah.
And what about the growth? So I mean, what about the numbers, and what about the successful way that you was able to have this so interesting growth?
Yeah, well, okay, so first with the numbers. So right now, between the two pools, the DAI and the USDC pool, we have about 1.3 million US dollars, 1.3 million US dollars in both those pools, and that's from about 5,000 unique Ethereum addresses. So that's where we're kind of at in a big picture perspective. I think the reason it's grown is one reason it's grown is because I think the concept is very viral. It's like, it sounds like it's too good to be true. It sounds like something you want to try. And so it just has a very natural virality to it, and people want to share it. But also we've done a lot to focus on, I would say we've done a lot to focus on growing internationally and not just being kind of like a US focused product. So obviously Fabio has been helping us with the Italian community, and he did the Italian translation of the website, of the app, to make sure we have an Italian translation of the app. And so people like Fabio have been super helpful in growing. And then the final thing I'd say is that we have put a big emphasis on security and on transparency in regards to what the risks are. And I do think that has helped people feel more confident using the product. But yeah, I also, Fabio, I don't know if you have anything to add in terms of why you think it's been successful, but you've been a big part of what's made it successful. So I'm curious.
I gotta say that right now the Italian community is not as engaged as I thought it would be. We just started, to be honest. So a lot of people still don't know about our product. And as you say, it is look too good to be true. So considering that so many times in the crypto community, it's really hard to make people believe that they're gonna get their money back and they're gonna win some money at the same time. So knowledge and education, first of all, we need to get out there and spread the words and make people feel sure about where they park their money.
Yeah.
Great. And do you have anyone on your back? I mean, some big investor, some big angel that help you, maybe not only with money, but also with advisory.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so we have investors, IDO, Consensus, and DTC Capital, and they've helped us with money for sure and advising. I think I'm trying to think if there's other big ones. I think the other thing that's helped us a lot is a lot of wallets have featured us. So Coinbase Wallet, IM Token, I think MetaMask, like all those wallets have put us in their apps, and so that's definitely been a big help too.
Yeah, that's.
And what kind of relations do you have with the investors, Leighton? Is it just financial investors, or they afford other kind of support?
It's primarily financial, but they do offer. We'll ask them if we need help with a legal question, or if we're, working on trying to decide what feature to build next. We definitely ask for help, but it's primarily financial.
And the assets that they invest are in the meantime, so until you are not using them, are in the pool of the PoolTogether?
Yeah, so we put 30% of the investors' money into the pool. Yeah, so we put that in as the sponsored DAI. So that DAI in USDC is in those pools and it contributes interest to the prize, but it's not eligible to win.
Great.
Okay.
So that we use that. That was one thing we did with the investors' money.
Yeah, basically.
So and right now it's like the 30% of the pool, approximately.
50? No, it's much. It's like 25.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
25. Great. I forgot to say, but how many people are back? I mean, are in the team of PoolTogether? You, Leighton?
Yeah. So what we say is like the core team is just 3 of us. So that's me, Brendan, and Chuck. Obviously, like Fabio and Noel and a few others. So do community representation, and so there's like four people doing that, but the core team is just 3.
Great. And do you have in plan to? I mean, yes. Do you have in plan to expand with external partners like Fabio, for example, for building communities around the world? But do you have in plan to grow the team for some specific activity?
Yeah, we're not hiring right now, but we probably will be hiring soon. We want to hire another front end person just because there's a lot of work to do on the front end, and then also start looking for another smart contract engineer to work on the protocol, because that's super important. It's just harder to find those people. There's not that many.
Great. Okay, I think that now we can start asking few questions of our users, and then maybe also other questions from our side. So the first question is from Fede, one of our most active users of the community, and he basically asked, what's the business model of PoolTogether? So how do you live?
Yeah.
Where do you get the money?
Well, the business model right now is to raise money from investors and to use that. That's the business model. But
it's the best business model.
yeah, it's a good one. It's very successful. No, I think that we think that there. I would say from a longer term perspective, we think there will be a business model, but we don't want that to be. That's definitely not our focus right now. And 2, we want to do that in a decentralized way. Any type of value capture, we want to be decentralized, and so that is not our focus right now. Like we are really looking to take the same path that like Compound has taken in terms of decentralizing the protocol governance, and down the road, if the people who are in charge of the protocol want to issue some sort of like fee, then they can do that then.
Great. And completely understandable. And the other question from Fede is, do you have in plan or ready for release any other no loss game?
We don't have any other no loss games ready for release. Our next big release is going to be the pods, which basically lets people link their tickets together to increase their chance of winning. So we're really excited about that. Like, for example, you could make like, a DeFi Italy pod, and then everyone in your group could join that pod, and then if anyone in that pod wins, you all split the prize. So that's our main thing. We do think there's a lot of other interesting no-loss money games for sure, and we've talked about some of these that I think are really cool, and some people at ETH London were working on some of them. But we're just not focused on that. But we definitely think that's really cool.
Great, maybe something like a bingo or something like that.
Yeah, there's lots of cool ideas, but we can only do so many.
Okay, go ahead with the other question from.
If we can integrate another question, is what is the risk that a player has to game with PoolTogether?
Yeah, what are the risks? Yeah, so I wrote a blog post last week that goes over these. So if you're interested, you should check that out. Blog. It's called A Simple Explanation of the Risks of Using PoolTogether. And so, yeah, the primary risks are, again, this is all in the blog, but one, a smart contract exploit risk could be there, right? So there could be a bug in the smart contracts themselves. We have a bug bounty. We've done audits with Zeppelin, so the chance of that is really, really, really low, but that's possible. The other risk is that the contracts are upgradable. So if the ability to upgrade the contract was compromised by a nefarious person, a bad person, or if just the team itself decided they wanted to do something illegal, then the contracts could be essentially upgraded in a way that would take the funds. So those are the biggest risks. But yeah, I would look at that article to read about what we've done to mitigate them and what they kind of are.
One of the, I was thinking, for example, Leighton, one of the famous strategy of the casino gambling is the double betting red and black.
Okay, we lost you.
You double bet.
Okay.
That some people think really that it's a winning strategy, but it's going to lose anytime. Yeah. And I'm thinking, for example, right now, if I put like 2.5 million, let's say, in tickets in PoolTogether, I have 1.30. I basically have a lot of probability to win.
Yeah.
1.25 chance of winning. Okay? Yeah. And if I put continuously 2.5 million.
Yeah.
I will increase my worth.
Yeah.
So, and are you considering this in your plan?
Yeah, that's why we're doing the pods, because we want to give people the ability again. So if someone put in 2.5 million, that would be a lot. But the pods will give a way for people to compete with the whales. It gives people who don't have very much DAI a way to compete with people who have a lot of DAI, who are whales. So that's kind of our plan to address that. Overall, I think if someone put in 2.5 million, I think most people would be really excited, because the prize would be like $5,000 a week. And sure, that person would win most of the time, but they wouldn't win every time. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to see how big of a problem that was.
Okay, great. Before going ahead with another question from our users, I have a question about how do you choose the winner. So basically,
Yeah.
I think that you don't have any mechanism on chain to select the winner, but you have to use something off chain, I think.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, we originally, well, okay, so again, we have a really good blog post about this that goes into all the detail. So that should be like the primary reference point. But yeah, the problem is there's not good on-chain ways to get verifiable randomness. And so the randomness generation is centralized, which basically means that the team plays a role in creating the randomness. That doesn't mean we don't literally pick a winner, but we do kick off the process that creates the random number that picks the winner. And so if we were nefarious, like if we were bad people, we could hypothetically game that to some degree. So that's how it works right now. The good news is there are, in the very near future, some new technology coming online to improve randomness selection, specifically the Keep Network TBTC beacon, our random number generator beacon. And so we'll be using that when that goes live, which I believe is scheduled for March.
Great. That's a great news. And another question from another very active users of our community, Alessandro, was related to the audit. So basically, you just said that every contract involved in PoolTogether is audited. But what about the new ones? So you just said, okay, our contracts are upgradable, but to be honest, I think personally that is a not so cost-effective solution to audit every time you do an upgrade. So what could be the process?
Yeah, so we do new audits before any major or even most minor upgrade. So for example, the pods code, that's getting a new audit just for the pods code. So there have been some very small changes that we've made without an audit, like for example, changing a contract address to point to a different asset type on Compound, things like that. But we are maintaining, I would say, 99% of the code as audited. So we don't do any meaningful upgrades of any of the important things without an audit beforehand. And it's not very cost effective.
Just to understand also the frequency of the upgrades and how you are going. What's the rationale between I will do an audit, I won't do an audit?
I mean, the rationale is basically if it's a new feature, it gets audited. If it's a change to something that has the potential of touching the funds, that gets audited. If it's just copying and pasting a contract and changing an address, that doesn't necessarily get an audit. But like I said, I think our code is at least 99% audited. I think it's actually even more, a higher percent. So we did an audit in January. We're doing an audit right now. We've spent almost $100,000 on audits, and we'll probably spend at least that much more the rest of this year.
How much cost in average an audit, Leighton?
Well, it depends on how much code you're doing, but generally it costs, it depends on who you're working, how much code you're doing, but I would say $10,000 to $30,000 a week of time. And then how much time it takes depends on how complex code is. But depending on who you're working with, it would cost between $10,000 to $30,000 per week.
Great. And
if I have another question,
we lost him.
Simone, Fabio, it's getting really dark where you are.
Yeah. I'm just gonna turn on the lights.
Yeah.
Can you redo the question, Simone, please? We didn't hear it.
Yeah. Let's wait for Fabio that's coming in the light.
Yeah, I'm back.
So Leighton, you are biased, I know, but how much is decentralized PoolTogether?
Like how centralized is it?
Yes, how much is decentralized from 0 to 10?
Oh man.
The hardest question.
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer because certain sense, it's 10. It's very centralized in a certain sense. But I guess maybe this is the way to say it. It technically speaking, because the contracts are upgradable and because we have the power to upgrade them, that's really like a 10, right? So technically, we have the technical ability to be very centralized. In terms of what we've actually done and the way we've actually operated, I would say it's like a 2. A good example of this, right? When Psi and DAI came out, right? When the Psi got upgraded to DAI, we could have taken all the users' funds and upgraded them to DAI, and we did not do that. We didn't touch none. We have never touched any users' funds. We've never done anything like that, and we would never do that, because even if the technical ability exists to do something, that does not mean that we would ever do it. And so we're technically, I have to be transparent and say technically, yes, there is the ability for us to do a lot of stuff. But if you look at how PoolTogether actually operates, there's very little centralization in it. And the amount that there is obviously going to go away as we're removing those things.
Great. And related to this, because I remember when the YDX did basically the mega upgrade, and a lot of people blame on him for that stuff. But are you going to introduce some sort of constraints, or are you going to a path of increasing decentralization? I mean, are you already having some sort of time lock upgrades or whatever?
Yeah. No, we don't have a time lock on the upgrade right now. I think that those are definitely helpful and can be helpful. They also have some big downsides too in terms of making it harder if there is a bug.
Yeah.
We're moving really towards a fully decentralized system. And so we're in terms of like our focus, we're launching the pods feature. We're going to do some things to improve the front end, and then we're working on just the decentralization. So we're not talking about like a year time frame. We're talking about like a 3 to 5 months time frame.
Okay, great. And always related to this, I think that maybe you can, maybe I'm wrong, but you can basically remove all decentralization elements to a lot of things that you have in PoolTogether, but the core stuff, so basically the random number generation, is very difficult to decentralize. So you were saying that you are going to use TBTC backend. So in this moment, there is some new technology or some promising platform that is going to build something for, moving towards decentralization of the random number generation, or something that could be more trustless in some sense.
Well, the TBTC beacon is trustless in the way that it's designed, to my understanding at least, to our research. So that's going to solve that problem. That's a huge problem. That's probably the trickiest problem to solve. So we're our understanding of that is going to be completely blocked.
Okay, that's great. And I will go ahead with the other questions. Okay, another question from Christian is related to the UI of the website. He is a designer, so I can understand this kind of question. So do you have in plan any enhancement on the front end to, for example, let me see the history of my winnings, or maybe during the process of I won the prize, so there is some animation, some user journey that basically enhance because it's gambling, so basically you should do that.
We definitely want to. We're always improving the front end. We're shipping a lot. We're actually shipping. We usually ship something every week on the front end just to make it better. it's something around the prize award would be fun. We don't have anything in the pipeline on that right now, but we want to make it more fun. But for us though, we really are also focusing on the protocol. And so we're trying to keep the front end good, but ultimately we want other people to build their own front ends. And so that's part of it too, is we don't want to have the only front end. So that's part of what we're doing.
So basically, the idea is to having basically two products: the protocol itself that will go on its path, and basically the front end that is one of the user of the protocol. Okay.
Exactly. And we're more focused on building the protocol than the front end.
Great. And what about the opportunity from the user to provide any sort of feedback about maybe the UI, the protocol, or whatever?
Yeah, we would love to hear that. Talk to Fabio.
Okay.
No, but we Discord, Telegram, Twitter, email. We are very active, and we would really like to engage with feedback. So if people have feedback, please let us know.
Okay, great. And another question. Sorry if I'm smiling, but are you flash loan tolerant, or in any sense?
What?
Yes, the question was like this. I mean, PoolTogether can be attacked by someone that is using flash loans or whatever.
No, it can't. Because you have to be in the pool for a certain period of time to be eligible to win, and so there's no vulnerability with flash loans.
Okay, that's it. Is sorry.
Wait, you just
Sorry, there is the. Wait a moment. I will cut this stuff.
I saw Leighton that the tokenization.
And he's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see also the bot with the SMS service in the United States that has give out like there are 1,000 I think of tickets in a matter of yeah, it's really cool the tokenization of ticket. And what kind of usage of the tokenization of tickets did you see in this short period?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be, the terms of the bot, the chat bot was super popular. But yeah, ultimately with tokenization, what we want is to enable other developers to make it easier for them to build on PoolTogether. So that's really our goal. We want it to be easier for other people to build on PoolTogether. And yeah, it seems to be pretty popular so far, and we're excited to keep working on it.
Great, guys, I come back. Sorry for the dog. Probably there was
no worries.
someone outside. Okay, I'm looking about other questions that we didn't cover yet. No.
There is another one that is there is other assets that you are going to implement. You answered before. I mean, you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just other stable coins. We want to do other stable coins. So we'll look into that. But right now it's just USDC and DAI.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what about the underlying providers? I mean,
yeah.
You actually you already know the question, but you're just using Compound in this moment. But there are other players, for example, the AAVE, or at the same time also aggregators like Idle Finance, for example, that you can leverage maybe in a not only just load balancing or distributing the assets in a way that you leverage a maximum yield, but in a way that you are also in some sense protected with DeFi risk adjusted distribution, or maybe other players like Opin, for example.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking into all those options, and we want to utilize them, but we also prioritize security and stability above everything else. And as you add more smart contracts and more providers, you're decreasing security because there's more potential for risk. And so we are very cautious and very slow to change anything. I do think we will, in the future, but we will do it once things have been a little more battle tested, a little more well established. And I think, what you saw with BZX is obviously that's a good example of why we're not doing that, right? We're not just looking for the people who will give us the most amount of money, the highest return. We're looking for the place where the money is going to be the safest. And right now we feel like that's Compound. I'm not trying to say there are other protocols that are very secure. There are other protocols that have done a very good job of security, but we think just focusing on one right now is a little wiser from a security perspective.
Okay. Related to this question, what's your opinion about security and delivery? I mean that you have to reach some sort of trade-off between, being slow and maybe lose some time to market opportunity, but at the same time to remain in the market. So I think that the best solution is not to be on one side or the other one, but to do a mix of it. What's your idea about that?
Yeah, I think that security for us is like non-negotiable. So like even before we did the first prototype version of PoolTogether, we had an audit of that version, and I think we're in our 5th audit right now. So it does slow things down. It is a big cost. It's very expensive and it slows things down, but it's non-negotiable in terms of like we're not going to be releasing code that hasn't been audited. So it's just kind of like a reality of what you have to do when you're building in the crypto space.
Okay. And do you think that there is some way to help PoolTogether to reach this goal in a faster way? I mean, are you considering some partner for security or for insurance for cover more PoolTogether?
Yeah, so I mean, I think like a couple things that we don't do right now that would help. The big one is insurance, and we are considering and talking to a few different companies about insurance. Obviously, the same thing. You want to make sure that your insurance provider is stable and all that. So that's definitely a concern. But we're working on insurance, and then the other thing that you mentioned with the upgradability is implementing a time lock, which again has like pros and cons. But we do want to do that once we can do that in a way that we feel secure about. So those are some of our things that are on the horizon. But ultimately, the best security is decentralization.
Great. Okay, so the last question is mostly related to this. So what will we see in the 2020 for PoolTogether? We are already seeing the tokenization that opens up plenty of opportunities, like selling tickets or do margin gambling or whatever. Then the pots. Then we understood that you are focusing a lot on decentralization and security, but maybe other new features or it will be just a surprise.
No, I mean, we're very open about what we're working on. But I think, what we would hope to see is that the best stuff is stuff that's being built by other people, right? More apps integrating with it, more people. I think the ticket tokenization, I think what we'll see is a lot of ticket aggregation. So people aggregating their tickets together to increase their chances of winning. I also think you'll start seeing more companies doing promos where it's like, hey, try out our product and you get a free ticket, those types of things, which would be cool. But hopefully we'd see a lot more people integrating, and ultimately what we want to see is more people saving money and more people winning prizes. Those are like our two goals, right? We want more money in the protocol, and we want that to generate more prizes for more people. And so, hopefully in December of this year, there'll be 100,000 DAI that goes out in prizes just in that month to 5,000 different unique Ethereum addresses. That would be kind of where we want to be in a year.
Great. So are we expecting some sort of hackathon for PoolTogether for builders? I mean, for our community of builders, the builders that we have in DeFi
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah. Excuse me.
No problem.
Yes, we definitely want to do that. We've been waiting to do that until we have our developer tools kind of built out better. But for sure, sometime this year that will happen.
Yeah, that's a very interesting news. And related to you said promos about the apps or maybe seller of the tickets. Are you going to offer some sort of discounts for the tickets or whatever? Are you going to do some sort of referral program or whatever?
Yeah, we want to do a referral program. We don't really have it designed yet, but we definitely want to figure that out. I mean, now that the tickets are tokenized, other people could build a referral program kind of on top of it. But yeah, we definitely want to do that. We're just still trying to figure out what the best way is.
Great. Okay, I think from my side and from the user side, we emptied the pool of questions.
That's good.
Simone, do you have any other question? Maybe more business. I mean, I am very satisfied for all the technical questions
that we made. That's cool. No, it's fine. Thank you very much, Leighton, and thank you, Fabio, for this.
Yeah, thank you, Fabio. Yeah, well, hopefully you guys can give away some tickets, and if you guys have more questions that come up, just let Fabio or I know.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we will start after this video some sort of promotion about PoolTogether. I mean, more about promotion is more about explaining what PoolTogether is, what is going to offer, and maybe, as we already did in the past, suggest for specific question of PoolTogether. Just we usually forward to the dedicated channel. So for example, on your side is Discord. So Fabio is in the community, so it will work for sure without any problem. So
I just bought 100 tickets.
Oh wow!
When you are close to the boss and you have a good connection with the boss, your probability to win is higher. So let's see later.
Okay.
I will let you know if I'm going to win or not with this 100 die. Yeah.
Okay, I think that Leighton. Okay, no, he's here.
I'm back.
But but the interesting stuff, then we close, is that you can, and this is for me, it's the revolutionary stuff of a gambling platform, is that I can experiment without losing money, except for the transaction cost that I have in Ethereum. But I can test the probability theory buying thousands of tickets or whatever. Would be great, to be honest, from a UX perspective, that for example Ethereum or other players are going to integrate with you, because if the user journey will be seamless, it will be great. Because if it needed any, I mean, as a wallet I can give away, I don't know, 5 DAI to the user, and with meta transaction the user can start to play with few dApps. Maybe one of them is PoolTogether. So this will be great, because the overhead to understanding I need to buy another coin to pay, it's something that don't help in the adoption. Obviously it's something that the user should know in some time, maybe after 2 or 3 months, but not at the beginning.
We'll get there.
Great.
We'll keep getting better.
Okay, guys,